Welcome into the best bi-weekly Wednesday night show in the greater Poughkeepsie area. It's halftime on the Hudson. Jonny Martirano, Justin Schwartz, and Mike Duda with you. JJ Garcia will join you in just a little bit. Folks, it is officially October, the first of the month. You know exactly what that means. It's playoff baseball time. And right now, we're actually watching the Los Angeles Dodgers and Cincinnati Reds game, because if the Reds were to win, it would be the first time in MLB postseason history with the wild card series that all four series go to a game three, a decisive game three. So that'll be fun. But even if the Dodgers win, it'll be the first time that we have three of them. Obviously, right now, the Reds and Dodgers are playing. Cincinnati is currently leading 2-0. The Dodgers came away with a 10-5 victory. Guys, what do you have on that first game and what we've seen so far tonight in that series?
Well, I mean, I think in the first game, LA did kind of what everybody expected them to do. They're a much better team than Cincinnati, showed that, but Cincinnati, they got some grit. They got a great manager in Tito Francona. They got some great young talent, and I think they could definitely pull it out today and make this series a lot closer than a lot of people think it should have been.
I think the Dodgers showed, what type of team they are. Obviously, both teams are kind of mismatched. Reds don't have the best record. They just made the playoffs, but if the Dodgers end up losing this series, that would be a big deal. Obviously, in years past, think back 2019, they lost to the Nationals. So I think it's an interesting series, and it'll be awesome to watch if all games or all series go to 3 games.
And they, of course, upset my New York Mets, that being the Reds. But like you said, Justin, I like the pitching. I like the young core over there in Cincinnati. They're a sneaky little team, but the Dodgers should get by them with no problem. They were up 8-0 in Game 1. Ended up making it a little bit close with a 10-5 final, but they still pulled away with the victory. So let's turn into the other National League series. It was the Chicago Cubs. They were down 1-0 early, but ended up fighting back with 2 runs and then tacked on another one to win a 3-1 game in Game 1. But for Game 2, they were shut out 3-0 by the Padres, or 3-0. So what'd you guys see in that one?
I mean, I think this is probably one of the more evenly matched series that we have out of the whole postseason. Both great teams, and I think Game 3 is going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, I think, I've seen next game is winner takes all. I really could see it going both ways. Both teams are pretty evenly matched up, as Justin just said. Both got good pitching, good players. On Cubs, they got PCA. He's a really good player this year. On the Padres, Machado, Tatis. So it's a good series so far. It could go either way.
I'll be honest with you. I think the Reds and Dodgers series is the only one that's super unbalanced. I think otherwise you have some really good series going on. But like you said, Justin, this could be the best. I'm going to argue it's the second best wild card series. We'll get to who I believe is the best one in just a little bit. But like you guys said, really good teams. And the Padres, who have had sustained success. You have the Cubs. Both of them won nearly 90 games. I mean, let's just talk about the NL Central for a second. Reds, Cubs, and Brewers all get in. I don't think anyone expected that. The National League Central was really competitive this year.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the divisions that we expect to not be that great at the NL, because NL East, you got Phillies, Mets obviously underperformed, Braves underperformed, NL West also very competitive. Usually the NL Central is like the division that's not so competitive, and they really shocked a lot of people this year, obviously with the Brewers going on the run they had, the Reds going on their run, and the Cubs finally making it back to the postseason. Definitely a shock to what everyone thought was going to happen at the beginning of the year.
And that's 4 teams from that division as well. That's really unheard of. Not any other division didn't do that this year, so that's pretty impressive.
It was 3, just the AL East was the other one. But yeah, definitely. Very, very competitive division. Sneaky competitive division. You wouldn't expect much. You think maybe the Cubs are going to be good. The Brewers will show up in the regular season. They might choke in the postseason. Who knows? So definitely a competitive division over there. We have an entire another league, and that is, of course, the American League, and a really good series. I mean, I'm going to rank this 3rd so far, but this has been a great series. Detroit and Cleveland. The Tigers pulled out with a 2-1 victory behind Tariq Skubal, who we'll hear of in just a little bit. He has been phenomenal this year. We'll talk about our predictions for awards. He's been great. So they pull away with a 2-1 victory. They got a run in the first inning. Cleveland came back in the 4th, but of course Detroit with a 7th-run inning, and they won 2-1. And then today in Game 2, it was the Guardians who pulled away with the victory as they took a run in the 1st, gave up 1 in the 4th, and then it was a 1-1 game for a while until a 5-run inning in the 8th. What are you guys seeing out of this series? I think it's going to be a great one, super competitive, and another interdivisional one, American League Central.
I'll be honest, I thought this series wasn't going to be that close. I mean, you saw how the Tigers ended. You saw the Guardians ended. They went on that crazy run to swipe the division in the final games of the season, and I thought that was going to deflate Detroit's momentum, but, Skubal came out in Game 1, dominated, got him back. Now Guardians did what they do in Game 2, and now look at that. We're looking at Game 3, winner takes all, and I'm sure Detroit has a major chip on their shoulder, and I think with all the Guardians put them through, I think they might be able to pull out a Game 3.
I think this is a big pride series, especially since how the regular season ended with the Tigers blowing the division. I think that, Tigers, like I said, are going to have that chip on their shoulder. Same with the Guardians. It's another close series, and it's a big, bragging rights series as well.
I mean, what a collapse almost from those Detroit Tigers. You almost had a 14-game division blown. You blew the division. You almost missed the playoffs. It was almost the Astros that got in for that last wildcard spot. And like you guys said, the Guardians just came up out of nowhere red hot. But my personal best series, of course, has to be, I would say, the most storied rivalry in the history of baseball. It's the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. Phenomenal first two games here in the Bronx. Game 1, it was 2-1 going into the ninth, and you had an RBI from Boston in the top of the ninth, made it 3-1. Aroldis Chapman, a little dicey in the bottom half, going for the 4-out save, loaded the bases, and it's the first time in postseason history that a team has had the bases loaded with nobody out, didn't score in that inning, and did not win the baseball game. And of all teams, it was the New York Yankees in the bottom of the ninth. What do we see from Game 1? Because we'll get to Game 2 in just a little bit. It's just completely different. It's been a great series over there.
I mean, obviously, very entertaining series, and the Yankees at the end of Game 1, they did kind of what their crosstown rivals, the Mets, always do. Bases loaded, no outs, no one scores. I mean,
as a
how
Met
does
fan,
that happen?
yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But at least they came back Game 2 and made it an even series, and this Game 3 is shaping up to be a big one because we don't know what Boston is going to do. We don't know who they're going to throw out there for Game 3. Yankees obviously most likely are going to go with their rookie Cam Schlittler. I think that's how you say his name.
Cam Schlittler, yes.
So, I mean, a lot of questions to be answered in this Game 3, and this is very big for the Yankees because Boston has had their number last couple playoff times they met in the playoffs, so they're going to really want to put this one away.
The Yankees need this one as a franchise. You can't lose to your biggest rivals again. This will be the third time, 2021, 2018. So you just can't do that if you're Yankees, especially with Boone. He's been a manager since 2018. They lose this series, he could be fired, but I think it was a good recovery game from the Yankees, getting back on track after what happened in the ninth inning of the first game. But leaving the guys on base like that with 0 outs, that could be very telling if they do move on and something to watch out for.
Which is such a crazy stat to think of, the fact that Boone could be fired. Yankees haven't had a losing season since 1993. And besides 2023, the last time they missed the playoffs, I can't even name it. That's how good and dominant this team has been. And the fact that Boone can be fired after such a great season this year is crazy. But Game 2 really helped his odds. It helped the Yankees' odds. You saw a lack of fundamentals from the Red Sox. Saw some sloppy baseball from the Yanks. But overall, they were the better team. They pulled away with the win. So that is personally my game to watch. But we have another game to watch. It is October, and that is, of course, the MLB postseason. But something happened last month, just a couple days ago, right near my place of origin, that being Long Island. And we know nothing about it, so we're going to throw it over to our insider, JJ Garcia, who's got all that you need to know about Ryder. JJ, let me throw it over to you, or rather, let me put it over to you.
Well, Chip.
As we'll take a look from Garcia in just a little bit, what he has to say. From what I know, it was America and England going at it.
Europe.
That's just about all that I knew. I know that it's in Bethpage. Other than that, I really can't tell you much about it. So for that reason, we have Mr. Garcia on hand tonight. And with that, let's put it over.
Thank you very much, Duda. So this weekend, the most prestigious golf tournament was played here in New York, specifically Long Island. Team America took on Europe at Bethpage Black, one of the hardest courses in the country. But Keegan Bradley made it a little too easy for the Europeans as they jumped to an early 5.5 to 2.5 lead on Friday. They carried that over into Saturday, taking 6 out of 8 points. The momentum was in favor of Europe, and they had an 11.5 to 4.5 lead, 7-point lead. If the American team was able to pull off the comeback, it would have been the biggest comeback in Ryder Cup history. They only needed 2.5 points to retain the title and 3 to win the entire match. It should have been over. Everyone was counting them out, but Cameron Young of the United States ended up winning the first hole on Sunday and changed the whole momentum of the entire tournament. The Americans would go on to win 4 straight singles in a row, splitting one of them, and then Ludvig Åberg of the European team ended up winning a match, making it 13-8. All the Europeans needed was 1 more point, but the Americans rallied back, scoring 2 more points in 2 big matches and looked like they would get their third. Russell Henley had a 2-stroke lead going into hole 16. On the 17th green, left his birdie putt short and opened the door for Shane Lowry, who sunk his birdie putt to win the hole to get the match back to 1 point. Russell Henley, once again on the 18th green, had another birdie opportunity from 15 feet and left that one short, leaving the door wide open for Shane Lowry, who would sink the birdie putt and retain the title for the Europeans for the 2nd straight year. The Americans almost pulled off the comeback of the century, but fell short. I have 4 big players that I would like to highlight from the tournament. First, from the United States, Cameron Young, in his first ever Ryder Cup back in his hometown. He won 3 out of 4 matches and led the Americans in points while also winning 19 holes by himself. The 28-year-old led the comeback for the Americans, followed by Xander Schauffele, who also won 3 out of 4 matches and was a co-leader with Cameron Young for points, winning 18 holes for the United States. He was firing the crowd up, firing everyone up, just like Bryson DeChambeau, who didn't have a great week, but Xander Schauffele and Cameron Young were my 2 standout players for the United States. Now for the European team. The MVP of the tournament has to go to Tommy Fleetwood. Fleetwood went 4-1, and those 4 points were the difference maker. Without Tommy Fleetwood, the Europeans would have lost this tournament and lost to the biggest comeback of all time. But Tommy Fleetwood stayed composed through all of the heckling that they got, especially Rory McIlroy, who was getting bottles thrown at him. Just horrible. But Tommy Fleetwood hit his clutch putts, hit his clutch shots, and did everything he needed to for this European team. And then the second player, I was between Jon Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton, who were absolutely amazing all tournament. But I had to give it to Tyrrell Hatton, who won 3 matches and tied his last one. That tie ended up winning the tournament for the Europeans instead of just retaining the title. He hit the clutch shots that he needed, especially in the foursomes with Jon Rahm. He was outstanding the whole tournament and really proved that he was the difference maker in this Ryder Cup. In all, it was an absolutely amazing tournament, one of the best ones we have seen in history. USA came up short. Europe dominated in the first 2 days, which really was the difference maker in this tournament. The next Ryder Cup will be in 2027, held at Adair Manor in Ireland. Rory McIlroy shouldn't get any bottles thrown at him in his hometown, but we will see. That's all I got for the Ryder Cup. I'll send it back over to the desk.
Well, let me tell you, that is a super impressive job from a freshman right there. Shout out to JJ Garcia. We threw him on for a very niche sport, and he did a great job with his reporting there. So shout out to Mr. Garcia. As let's talk about some baseball again. I know we know baseball. We don't really know golf. So how about we talk about a heated debate? We're going to save the debates for Prove Your Point, but let's talk about Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh for AL MVP.
I'll start out with Cal Raleigh. This is as close as an MVP race as you could get. I would say Judge has the upper hand, but Raleigh had nothing short of a great season, one of the best seasons from a switch hitter and a catcher. He played almost every game. He led the league in home runs with 60. Could have had a shot at the record that Judge set a couple years ago. Came up short, but he also had 125 RBIs. He does not have the batting average, but he was still crucial to the Mariners, who won their division.
You know, as great a season that Cal Raleigh had, and as terrible I feel for him, it's unfortunately Aaron Judge is the MVP. I mean, we're witnessing one of the greatest hitter seasons probably we've ever seen. He's led in batting average, on-base percentage, slugging, OPS plus. I mean, what more is there to say? I mean, if Aaron Judge didn't exist, then Cal Raleigh is obviously the MVP. And he was only 7 homers behind Cal Raleigh. He had 53, Raleigh had 60, and he put a much better stats than him, better WAR. I mean, Cal, great season, great player, but Aaron Judge is just phenomenal. I mean, come on now.
Judge trailed Raleigh in 5 stats. 7 less games played, about 25 less plate appearances, both of which are relatively irrelevant when you're comparing 2 players. 7 less home runs, 11 less RBIs, and just 2 less stolen bases. Outside of that, Aaron Judge has dominated Cal, so it has been quite what I would say is a pretty decisive Aaron Judge AL MVP. But let's move over to the National League. I think this one is also a lock in Shohei Ohtani, but I know, Johnny, you were saying Kyle Schwarber of the Philadelphia Phillies. What do you have on him?
I think that he had a pretty great year as well for the Phillies in his contract year too. He played all games, 162. He had 56 home runs, which is a lot, especially position he plays. Led the league in the RBIs with 132. Again, he doesn't have the batting average, only 240, but he had nothing short of a great season.
He most certainly did, but I mean, again, we go back to that comparison where you just take a look at the numbers, and it's pretty obvious, in my opinion, that Shohei wins it. He's also pitching, and I think, Justin, you would agree on that. But, Justin, I'll throw this to you because you had a very interesting take on this one. National League Cy Young, again, another one that I think is a lock for Paul Skeens. You're thinking Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Look, I mean, Skeens is great. I do think he will win Cy Young, but Sanchez is definitely a sleeper pick, and I think he will make the race a lot closer than it'll actually seem. I mean, he's led all pitchers in WAR with 8, 2.5 ERA, pitched 200 innings. I mean, as good as Paul Skeens is, you can't deny that this guy has talent. He's headlining one of the top rotations in the MLB for one of the top teams in the MLB. And, I mean, he deserves definitely some recognition, and it shouldn't be just unanimous for Skeens.
I agree that he deserves some recognition. The Phillies are obviously very good. I don't know how WAR works in this sense because Skeens is dominating in every major category with the exception of win-loss. That's solely because the Pirates just don't score many runs and innings pitched. So I don't really understand how that WAR works. But overall, Paul Skeens has just been the more dominant pitcher. I get it. You're thinking the MVP 2024 Francisco Lindor version. However, I'm thinking that Paul Skeens takes it. One more thing that we're going to go over before we move on is the AL Cy Young Award, and that is Tarek Skubal and Garrett Crochet. What do you guys have on that?
I mean, I definitely think this is a very close race. You can't go wrong giving either guy the award, but, I mean, I'm going to say Garrett Crochet. I mean, he pitched 200 innings,
wow,
almost similar ERA to Skubal, more strikeouts. Like I said, can't go wrong with either of these guys, but Crochet has been dominant, and I definitely think he has a great case for winning the Cy Young.
Johnny, you disagree with that?
I think Skubal gets it. He has a lower ERA. He's maybe the top pitcher in the league, maybe besides Skeens. Both teams are similar, Tigers and Red Sox, but I mean the stats are very similar. You know, he did pitch a couple less innings than Crochet. Like I say, he does have a better ERA. He also had a lot of strikeouts. It's really a toss-up. But again, I think Skubal might have the edge.
For me, Skubal stats are just better overall, so I think you got to go with that. As for Rookies of the Year, I think it's pretty obviously Nick Kurtz and Cade Horton in the AL and NL, respectively. But my opinions don't matter. Our opinions don't matter. What matters is the opinions on our next segment, as let's throw it over to Prove Your Point. Well, guess what time it is? You made it. It is time to Prove Your Point. So let's go ahead and get right into it with the contestants. You'll know him for hanging around Studio A. He's a big Swiftie, claims that he's undefeated here on halftime on the Hudson because his loss was unofficial. Ladies and gentlemen, it is none other than the senior, a host on the Red Fox Report, and a broadcaster here at Marist University, Nick Chiarito, a.k.a. Dorito. As he makes his entrance in. Well, you went first. We did get the wrong walk-up song.
You gave me the wrong walk-up song. I'm not shaking your head. No,
that's brutal. That's brutal. Well, on the other end, we have a freshman. He's also pretty big with the Red Fox Report. Give it up for Dave Troger. Show the rugby background. I love it.
I don't think that was rugby.
Well, he plays rugby. All right.
You could have listed that as fun.
This guy's getting off on my bad side already. Well,
You got on my bad.
because
side.
he's
You
on
messed
my
up
bad
my
side, we're going to throw it to him first. Of course, Nick and Dave. Nick, I'll throw this over to you first. Baltimore Ravens right now are 1-3 in the NFL season. Do they make the playoffs, Dorito?
That answer is no, they don't. They have the worst defense in the NFL. It's like the 2024 Cincinnati Bengals all over again. They're going to be scoring 30 points a game. They're going to be giving up 35 points a game. Lamar's hurt. The defense hurt. They're not making the playoffs.
You're talking about injuries, Nick, but they have a lot of guys coming back soon. Lamar is projected to be back in a couple of weeks. He's possible next week. In that time,
They're playing the best defense in the NFL next week. They're not winning that game.
Cooper Rush has a 9-5 record as a starter. They have him in as the backup. They have the potential to win some games during that stretch. AFC North is an incredibly weak division.
How many games? How many games?
They have another 13 to go.
Okay, but how many games is Lamar going to be out?
Right now, it seems like 1 or 2, and they have an early bye
One
week.
or two early buys. So 2 games against the Rams. Is my mic not on?
No, your mic's on.
Okay.
Laptop's closed.
I don't need it.
Going off the dome.
One or two games, which is against the
Oh,
Texans.
he's going off the dome.
Against
Ooh,
the
we're matching.
Texans, who have the number 1 defense in the NFL, albeit I don't think they're that good that either because their offense is horrid.
The Texans, I believe, are also a 1-3 team.
They are a 1-3 team. They are, but they have the best defense, best scoring defense in the NFL.
By points.
And the Ravens have the worst defense in the NFL, and the Rams are pretty good.
The Ravens have the worst defense in the NFL with a lot of injuries. Of
They
course,
still
they
gave
have,
up 40 points to the Bills when they were healthy.
The Bills put up 40 points on a lot of people. Their losses are to some very strong teams. We have to keep that in mind. The Bills, the Chiefs, both offenses very strong. We
The
have
Chiefs'
to keep in mind,
offense was very strong.
it can be at times.
Okay,
It's-
they scored 22 against the Giants. They scored 17 against the Eagles and 21 against the Chargers. Albeit, I'm pretty sure Xavier Worthy being hurt for those 3 games impacted it.
I think we've seen
But
enough.
the
out of
Ravens'
this
defense has
Chiefs
been giving up
offense to know.
33 points per game. It's the 2024 Bengals all over again.
It's hard to go off of the Chiefs' offense. They are a very heavy wild card, but still, even not looking at the Ravens' defense, Derrick Henry, number 2 in rushing yards in the NFL last year.
Not this year though. He's
Not
got
this year.
fumbles.
He
What
has
about all those
fumble
fumbles?
problems, but he
Against
is,
the number 1 defense in the NFL?
he's one of the best running backs in the league. I have faith that he can turn it around.
I have
in
faith
the last,
he can turn around. He better turn around for my fantasy team, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
looking at a very top-heavy AFC, who else do you think can make the playoffs in that state?
Okay,
if
so
the Ravens can't turn it around,
Buffalo Bills are making the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Steelers are winning
Are
the
they?
division.
are they?
Wow.
Yes, they
The
very much
Steelers are
are.
horrendous down the stretch.
Wow.
They cannot finish the season under Mike Tomlin.
They have to. They will because the Ravens are going to be bad.
All right, Nick,
Lamar
Nick.
is
All
also
right,
bad
hey,
against the
hey,
Ravens.
Hey, finish your last
Okay,
point.
fine.
Dave, go one
All
more
right,
point.
So
We gotta move on here. We gotta move on.
Steelers, Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs, and let's go Jags. I like the Jags over the
The
Colts.
Jaguars.
Yeah.
The Jaguars.
It's the
Okay.
AFC South we're talking about here.
Since
AFC South.
the NFL transitioned to the
Colts?
7-team
Nah,
playoff
screw Daniel
format,
Jones. Don't like him.
since
trust
the 7-team NFL playoff format was transitioned to, in 2020, there have been 5 1-3 teams to qualify for the playoffs. That is an average of 1 per year. Who else do you think besides the Ravens?
You said
is
1-3 or 1-5?
1-3 teams.
Okay. No, like teams that are with the 1-3 record.
Correct.
Well, by the end of the stretch, they're going to be 1-5, and only 5 teams have ever made the playoffs after being 1-5.
All right, all right.
So
1-5, 1-3. These are pretty bad records. You know what that reminds me of?
The
that
Jets.
reminds me, and the Mets. That reminds me of some teams that have had some really, really bad endings to their MLB season. Dave, who has had the worst and biggest collapse in the MLB here in 2025?
Well, Mike, I think there's no question on the answer to that one. The Mets spent $340 million on their roster, and they couldn't make the playoffs. That is terrible. They spent more on their roster than the bottom 4 teams combined. One of those teams, the Miami Marlins, ended up being the dagger to knock them out of the playoffs.
Only finished 4 games worse than the Mets, by the way.
Correct.
I'm not salty.
It's just a terrible lineup, however you look at it. Even not looking at the numbers, Lindor, Alonso, you have Juan Soto coming in, and you can't make the playoffs. That is just a terrible bumble on their part. Alonso broke the home run record, a franchise favorite, and now he wants out again. I don't think he can get much worse than...
Can it get much worse, Nick? If so, who can?
The Detroit Tigers. Now, albeit they're still in the playoffs.
Team. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
They are still in the playoffs.
And how does their roster compare, can I ask? Because the Mets have the second highest payroll this season to the Dodgers.
So the interesting part about the Tigers, they had 6 All-Stars this year. One of them being the Cy Young winner, who has been phenomenal all year and healthy, unlike majority of the Mets pitching staff. However, their 4 hitters that were All-Stars all have a 700 OPS in their last 60-plus games, at least since the All-Star break. They had a 15.5-game lead over the Cleveland Guardians, who, keep in mind, really only have one elite player on their team, Jose Ramirez. Future Hall of Famer. Right, Duda?
I agree. He's one of the most underrated third basemen of all time, but my opinion doesn't matter. Prove your point, not mine.
That's all they got. And they had the largest comeback ever. And if and when Detroit loses tomorrow, this is the most disappointing season, especially considering where they were at, one of the best teams throughout the first half of the season, like the Mets.
You say that like it's a guarantee that they will lose tomorrow. That's interesting.
That's my prediction. That's just my prediction.
It seems at the moment that all but one wild card series, and that is the Dodgers and the Reds, where the Reds really shouldn't even be in the playoffs anyway. That's going back to the Mets and their colossal failure this season. Every single one of them is 1-1 and looking very even going into the last game.
We're not talking about the wild card round. We're talking about Cleveland, who had the most disappointing season between the Tigers and the Mets.
You're right. We're not talking about the wild card round. We're talking about the World Series.
That's a big
jump.
Okay.
Gentlemen, it's a little early, but gentlemen,
big jump.
Who is winning it all? Who is winning the Commissioner's Trophy? It's not my Mets, but who's winning the Commissioner's Trophy, Nick?
I don't like the Commissioner's Trophy as a name. But that being said,
it doesn't matter. I asked you a question. Answer the question. It will in fact be the New York
Yankees. Now they almost lost to the Red Sox, but we gotta keep in mind the Red Sox have owned us for the last 2018, so 7 years. Beat us 3 times in the playoffs.
That'd be 4.
Oh no, that was 2. 2 times in the playoffs since 2018. Beating the Yankees the last 3 times in the playoffs. One of those being a 3-0 comeback. But that being said, Aaron Judge, he's on it this year. It's his postseason. He's batted 500 through the first 2 games of the postseason. Only struck out twice, 1 per game. I can live with it.
Well, Nick,
Max Fried has looked amazing. The bullpen tonight, phenomenal.
You talk about the bullpen, but I see a very big issue looking at that exact same thing. Their complete lack of depth.
David Bednar, man, he's been phenomenal since coming from the Pirates.
It appears they will have to start reusing pitchers as soon as tomorrow. That is a very bad stat. When I look at their roster, I see Aaron Judge and not much else. I don't think there's enough to bring them to the World Series.
Wow.
I don't think there's enough.
Okay, first of all, we have the best the Yankees have the best all-around second baseman in baseball. Mm-hmm. Jazz Chisholm will be a Gold Glove finalist, and he was an All-Star, 125-plus OPS plus. Trent Grisham, 125-plus OPS plus. As a matter of fact, Paul Goldschmidt, Jazz Chisholm, Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, Trent Grisham, Cody Bellinger, Giancarlo Stanton, Jason Dominguez. That's 8 players that had an OPS plus above 100, meaning they're all above average hitters. 5 of those guys, Rice, Judge, Grisham, Bellinger, Stanton, and Jazz. So 6, 125 plus, OPS plus, meaning they are 25% better than the average hitter. Aaron Judge being over 100% better than the average hitter, and 40% better than the second best hitter in the American League, which is Cal Raleigh.
How do you rebuke
that? Max Fried.
He's so good.
He's elite. Rodon. A little bit of trouble tonight, but got through it. All-star.
Well, Nick, you're talking a lot about OPS. I want to talk about ERA because for a stretch this season, the Yankees had the worst ERA in the entire MLB.
Stretch. That's a stretch.
Let him talk, mister. Let him talk.
When they're on, they're on. But when they have dry stretches, they are bad. And I'm talking real bad. They completely bombed their lead of the division. They've lost more games than they really should have. Like, they cannot win down the stretch consistently.
Wait a second.
Time
Wait a second. He hasn't even argued a point. Who's winning the World Series? I want to wrap this thing up. We don't even have your answer.
It slightly pains me to say, but the World Series this year goes to the Philadelphia Phillies.
Nah.
Explain.
Go on.
Why?
The pitching is not incredible. They have some injuries, but they have possibly the best hitting lineup, at least the most underrated hitting lineup in these playoffs.
It is not better than the Yankees lineup.
That is very debatable.
They have Trey Turner just came back from injury, so there's that.
Trey Turner has a 300 hitting right now. He is hitting 302, I believe, to be exact. They have a potential Cy Young finalist. They have
just named
so many
6 guys that are 25% better than the average hitter in the Yankees lineup. That's more than
and they still
anyone
almost
in
lost
baseball.
to the Red Sox.
Dave, give me one more point.
That is
one more point. Close it out.
I don't think the Yankees can get past the stretch. If I'm not going to prove the Phillies to you, I'm going to disprove the Yankees.
Oh.
They cannot get past the Blue Jays. It's been proven repeatedly this season. They have Vladimir Guerrero, Bo Bichette coming back. I don't think they're going to be able to make it.
Nick, wrap this up.
No, I will admit the Blue Jays will be a tough round for the Yankees. But that being said, Blue Jays pitching is not good at all. It is worse than the Yankees.
Questionable.
It is worse than the Yankees. Aaron Judge mashes against the Blue Jays.
You think the Yankees pitching without Jarrett Cole is still going to be as good as it was down the stretch?
We got Cam Slitler. We're good. Luis Heel. We're good. Max Fried. He's been elite. If it wasn't for that bad 8-week stretch in the middle of the season, he would probably be the Cy Young.
A bad 8-week stretch is a pretty long time, Nick.
The last month of the season, he won Pitcher of the Month.
Against a weaker schedule compared to what it could have been.
He just shut down the Red Sox. 6 1/3, 0 runs.
He can't play
He
every game,
outpitched
though.
Crochet while they were both in the game.
He can't play every game. We saw what happened yesterday. The Yankees bullpen is just not deep
Neither
enough to
can
take
Christopher Sanchez. Neither can Jesus Luzardo, who hasn't been that great in the playoffs. A 6.14 ERA in the postseason, by the way.
All right, you guys are done.
No Zach Wheeler either. No.
I said you guys are done.
Sanchez-
I
Christopher
said
Sanchez,
you guys
no
are done. Don't make me pull a Derek DeGallo and turn off your microphone. You're laughing at that. Hey, I got to chuckle.
I had to do it.
I got to
That's
chuckle.
why.
The votes are coming in. But before we take a look at those, let's give a huge, huge shout out to our live studio audience and everyone behind the scenes. Big shout out to all of you. Thank you all. Look, it's Gene. He's bringing me results. Shout out to our producer, executive producer of the Red Fox Report. And big shout out to everyone that's making this entire broadcast possible. Let's give it up for them.
That looks like a Red Fox Report shot sheet, too.
It is indeed. Let's see what game we got. Women's soccer Colgate and women's soccer NJIT. Those that follow the Red Fox Report will know this guy struggles with that. Well,
NJIT, yes.
the question is, does this guy struggle when it comes to halftime on the Hudson? Do we have somebody up and coming in our debate segment?
Cocky. I love it.
It's 2-1. But this goes to the freshman, Dave Troger.
Hey! Well, Nick, it seems the new guy has beaten the experience this time around. Great fight.
The freshman pulls it off. Well, Dave, congratulations. 1-0. We got to get on debate one time. Nick?
People's faith in the Ravens will never make sense to me. They always disappoint.
he is getting older, and with that, maybe less wiser. Who knows? But what we do know is that is all the time we have for you on Halftime on the Hudson for this week. Thank you all so much for watching. Tune into our next broadcast on October the 15th. Dave Troger, Nick Chiarito, JJ Garcia, as well as Jonny Martirano, Justin Schwartz. I'm Mike Duda, and a big thank you to our entire broadcast team and for you for watching Halftime on the Hudson for this week here in October. Have a wonderful night.